Hello and welcome to the Steelers Depot live stream here on this Monday, April 4th. My name is Alex Kozora. As always, with me is Dave Bryan, SteelersDepot.com. Thanks for being here, guys. As usual, Dave and I here till 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So 1 hour answering as many Steelers questions as possible. Dave, how you doing? Yeah, picked up here a little bit, and I'll have some of the articles I'll click through as we go through the chat here and go through some of the super chats as well. A couple of pieces of information to me, some more relevant than others from NFL Network, Aditi Kinkobala, but one here on screen now about Terrell Edmonds and his potential free agent contractual situation. So, again, if you're new to the live stream, thanks for being. If you guys could like the live stream, that would help Dave and I out, get more people here into the chat, more people for you guys to interact with. We'll answer as many questions as we can until 8 p.m. If you want to move to the front of the line and have your question be guaranteed to be asked and answered by Dave and I, you can send us a super chat as Tim Chase, our friend Tim Chase, has done. So we'll lead things off with him, a $5 super chat. And he says he has some comments underneath the super chat as well. Okay, someone says that Dave cannot be heard. Dave, can you give me a quick test, actually, please? All right, let's make sure that's good first. Thank you guys for letting me know. I have a couple things I can try to test. Shouldn't be any issues. I'm surprised by that, but let me know, chat, and then we'll get to Tim's question. Still no. Okay, let's try another thing. Dave, give me a quick test, please.
Can you hear me now? Testing. Hello.
Let me know if you guys heard Dave right there. I'm getting levels on my end, so it should be okay. Good to go now. Yep. Okay. Good. OBS weirdly likes to change settings on me. So if there's any other issues, please let me know. And I appreciate you guys letting me know in the first place.
All
All right.
right. Good thing I didn't say anything important last time.
Let's jump into the super chat here. I'll let Dave speak first on this from Tim Chase. How about moving up to number 2 overall with Detroit and swap this year's ones? Maybe, okay, this one's actually a lot. It sounds like a Saints Eagles trade. Give up 2023 number 1, 2024 number 1. If he's your guy, pull the trigger. I assume this is in reference to Malik Willis or some sort of quarterback. So I'm going to kind of just abbreviate the question here from Tim instead of the specifics and just say, would you be willing, Dave, to trade the farm for a quarterback?
Thank you for clarifying, so I don't have to take my shoes off for this one. Uh, man, that's pretty rich, right? I mean, would you have to go up to number two to guarantee? My thought process has been kind of go up to I think 5 overall, where the Giants' first pick is. Uh, I can't answer that question. I think only the Steelers can answer that question. If the Steelers think Malik Willis or whoever is that guy and can be that guy, then the simple answer to that question is you give up those picks to go get them. But I mean, would I? I mean, look, I'm kind of enthralled by what the upside of Malik Willis is. 2 first round picks, those is mighty expensive, to
Hmm.
go up that far to get him. uh, my gut would tell me not not to give up that kind of capital to go up that high. But once again, if the Steelers deem, that's what I want to see in this draft, and I've written and talked about it quite a bit here. Is, are they going to have conviction to go get a guy, or are they going to say, look, we evaluated them, we have first round grades on 3 or 4 of them, we'll just sit here at number 20, and whichever one falls to us, we'll check them off like a fantasy football draft magazine,
Hmm.
and go from there. And I think the reality of this, look, at least to me, is it's not a great quarterback class. We've said that right from the get-go there. I think you'd be lucky to get one come out of here that ends up being a 10-year franchise guy. what are the odds of you getting that guy at 20 when you look back at history and all associated with the quarterback position at the draft? So, I mean, my gut would tell me not to go up that to go up that far for that kind of capital. But look, I have my first mock draft. I think I had him giving up swap the first this year, a first next year, and I believe I had what was it a second or a third? A third,
Mm,
I believe, this year to go up to the number 5 spot. So the question is do the Steelers believe whoever their top graded quarterback is can be a franchise guy? And
right.
if they answer that question, yes, then you pull the trigger on a deal like that.
Yeah, I'm always in the camp of there is no price to pay for a franchise quarterback if you truly believe that he is the guy. That guy is priceless. Now, would you have to go up to 2 to get him? Yeah, I think you can probably wait a little bit because there isn't a risk of 3 or 4, taking him. Now, someone always could trade up to 2, and there's always those conversations you're going to have during the draft to kind of get a feel for what other teams are thinking and doing. But yeah, I think bottom line is if you love a guy, then you're willing to go up there and get him, and if if you trust the guy enough that he's going to be the guy, then it's all going to be worth it in the end.
And
Let's
look, the thing with Malik is, obviously intrigued by what his upside might be, but in no way, shape, or form. I mean, a huge disclaimer needs to be on that. The guy just has just as good a chance to be a bust as anybody else. We're talking about a guy with 2 years of football here, a guy that technically a small school guy. He's got a lot of wow on his tape, but it got a lot of oh wow on his tape as well too. So it's definitely a crapshoot, specifically when it comes to the quarterback position. But if you think he can be that guy, then does it matter what you give up if he's going to put 2 or 3 Lombardi trophies on
right.
in your display case over the next 10, 12 years?
Yeah, no, I agree with you there, Dave. Chat, just let me know. I heard a little bit of crackle from Dave there. I can still hear him okay, but it sounds a little staticky. Maybe it's just on my end. I'm not sure, but let me know if Dave sounds okay. If not, I can try to maybe configure a thing or two. Um, so just let me know that quickly, and then we'll get on to the next question here from Lumberzack 94. Let me know about Dave's audio if you guys could. And then we'll go back to the questions. So yeah, mic is crackling. Sounds good. Terry says it sounds good. Little audio issue. Let's try this here real quick on the fly if that's okay with you, Dave. Let me put up this image here. I'm gonna hang up the Skype call we have, Dave, and then call you right back, and I think it'll probably fix the crackling issue. Is that okay?
Okay.
All right, let me just do that real quick. Give me 1 second, guys. The stream will still be ongoing. You may hear at some point though a Skype call, but it sounded a little off to me. So let me go ahead and just call Dave back real quick, and we should be good.
Hello.
All right, let's see if we have things better now. Dave, give me a quick test if you could, please.
Hello. Can everybody hear me? Check, check, check.
All right, chat, let me know how that sounds. I think it'll be okay, but just let me know. And if that's good, then we'll proceed. Oh, now we're getting echo? That
You're
was
saying
worse?
an echo. Yeah.
All right, hold on. Let me try. Sorry. Let me try something else. Dave, give me a quick test, please.
Hello. Check, check, check. Echo. Is there an echo in here, or is it just me?
All right, let me know about that. Now there's echo. I don't know if that's from before, though. Better, good, better. This is all right. This is very weird because I'm sorry to give the inside baseball, but all I'm doing is like turning off desktop audio. And initially it was muted and no one could hear you. I turned desktop audio on, you sounded good. Now I have it muted and people can hear you. So I don't understand how OBS works. It's very like inconsistent with how things go. But we're fixed, and that's ultimately, I guess, all that matters here. So let's jump back into that. I
Okay.
apologize.
Are we fixed?
I think we're fixed.
We fixed. Everybody hear me?
Everyone says that it's good, so we'll take it. All right, thank you guys for that. Back up to Lumberzack 94. Hey guys, hope I'm not too early. Do you think there's a scenario where one of the top prospects like Hamilton Davis fall Could you see the Steelers trade up for one of them? I can't. Um, Quarterback or bust in terms of trade up. Now, if those guys fall to them at 20, different story. But in terms of moving up to get one of those guys, I just don't see that happening for any position not named quarterback. Let's see. Next question here comes from Paul Brown. Going to show Purdue bias, but I think we're really sleeping on David Bell. Yeah, he tested horrible, but on tape was one of the best in the field against Big Ten defenses. I wouldn't be mad at him in the second or third. Dave, any thoughts on Purdue receiver David Bell?
Yeah, just I mean, obviously, I wouldn't have him as a first round guy. I kind of have him more gauged as as a late second round, third round kind of guy. That's probably it feels like that's when he's going to come off the board, and just not overly twitchy overall. Does have some nice tape though, and didn't test overly well overall. And but I mean, he's a guy that I think is going to have a lot of catches at at the NFL level. I'm just not so sure that he's a slam dunk, top, let's say 40 pick.
Yeah, I think the question is just the testing, and a lot of receivers with that kind of poor testing don't work in the NFL. I think athleticism is so important, at least some sort of baseline, not terrible level, and Bell was in that pretty poor camp. Really, he'll have to hope to become the next Jarvis Landry. Landry's a guy who tested really poorly in his pre-draft workout process. Obviously, didn't hinder his NFL career too much, so it's a pretty small section of names that have worked given Bell's poor testing numbers, but he'll have to kind of hope he'll be the next Jarvis Landry. So that's my thoughts there on David Bell. But if you're looking kind of that more
Did
sure-handed,
who
what's that?
who do they have at the Purdue? Who do they have at the Purdue Pro Day, Alex?
I'll have to go back and I can look it up, I guess, right now, huh? Because I don't remember who was there. I don't remember Frisman being there. I know that. Let's see if I can pull
Right.
up the pro day tracker, and I'm tracking today. I know they have somebody at the Louisiana pro day today, the Raging Cajun pro day. I don't yet know who, and I don't know on the Montana State pro day. It was probably Mark Bruner. If they sent anybody, I wouldn't be surprised if no one showed up for that one. But I know someone was at the Louisiana Lafayette pro day. And in terms of Purdue, Phil Kreidler at Purdue. So that's a little
Okay.
notable there.
That's a little notable.
Yeah. Mutated Genome, good to hear from you. Besides Edmonds and Matthew, which other free agent safeties are worth signing? Is it highly likely they land one, or will they have to draft a starter? We'll see what happens in free agency. I think they're going to sign somebody. I don't know who that's going to be. Is it Matthew? Is it going to be Edmonds? Somebody else? All those things are possible. And if it's not a higher end guy like Matthew, then certainly you could expect this team to draft somebody as well. So in terms of free agent safeties, any other names coming to mind? Obviously, Edmonds, Matthew, the two most talked about ones right now, Dave.
Yeah, look, the list is getting kind of light at this point here, and you would expect a guy, as I said on the podcast this morning. Uh, I'm willing to bet by the end of the week we have a idea whether or not Edmonds is re-signing or if he's signing with somebody else. Look, we just got news right before we got on that Taco Charlton is apparently signing with the New Orleans Saints there. So that's one off the board, unrestricted free agent for the Steelers. I mean, when you look at the list of of the free agents at the safety position, and I'm talking about those 29 years or younger there. I mean, the list is starting to get real thin there. Obviously Keon and Neal's a guy that we talked a little bit about over the last couple of weeks there. Tyrann Mathieu obviously is a guy that everybody's been talking about for a while as well too. Just trying to go down the list here and see anybody else of under 30 years of age that maybe might have the Steelers' interest here. And it's really hard to find. Jared Wilson, what do you know about Jared Wilson from the 49ers? Is he coming off some sort of injury or something?
I'm not sure. I don't really know a whole lot about him. How old is he? Like 27, 28? Do you know an age on him?
Let's see. He is 28.
28.
He's a
Yeah.
former undrafted free agent, 2016 with the Jaguars. He's a Michigan
Uh,
man, so But obviously I don't think he's got hardly any time starting whatsoever at the NFL level. It would, it'd probably be the equivalent, of a guy like Carl Joseph that you have right now. So the guy, I figure anybody that they do sign at this point, now that they have Killebrew signed, now they have Carl Joseph signed, is somebody that's got some sort of starting experience. And once
Yeah.
again, the list of players is really gotten thin over the course of the last, I don't know, 10 days at the safety position. I wouldn't be, I know a lot of people don't want to hear it, but man, don't be shocked if Edmonds still resigns. I think there's probably still a little bit of a chance of that happening.
Yeah, and according to NFL Network's Aditi Kinkle-Balla just from a little bit ago, there was quoted a deal on the table for Edmonds, but other teams, according to her, they're interested in Edmonds as well. So, we'll see what happens. We'll see what domino falls first and who that guy may be. Tim M, $10 super chat. Nothing in the super chat from him, but I see a question above. If Davis is gone at 20, who is the next best D line prospect? That's a good question. I think there's a couple of defensive lines. It's a good defensive line class overall. One of the Georgia kids. I mean, Walker will be gone. You said Davis is gone. But what about Devonta Wyatt? Travis Jones from UConn's a good fit, but Pittsburgh, nobody at his pro day. To me, that says they don't have a lot of interest in him. Top of the top of the draft there. So Travis Jones name that comes to mind. Devonta Wyatt, potential names that come to mind if he's there at 20. Certainly no guarantee that he is. Beyond that, I'm not really sure what other names would quite fit.
Perion Winfrey,
Yeah.
kind of thoughts on one of your Senior Bowl guys, stand
hmm
out at the Senior Bowl as well too. Uh, you know, Jordan Davis is obviously, I would think, at the top of that list with Wyatt right along with him. They're both Georgia products overall there. So those would be the two. I mean, and obviously first round, you're talking about having Mike Tomlin and Kevin Colbert at the pro day, and they were obviously both at the Georgia pro day. So that would probably be the best bet if they went that way. But I mean, at this point now, I mean, I will be stunned, and really I've been that way for a while if this team doesn't draft a quarterback in the first round.
Yeah. If you want to just throw out other names, Jermaine Johnson from Florida State, more of an edge type of guy, but he'll probably be gone. DeMarvin Leal from A&M, Carl Dunbar at his pro day. I think 20 is a touch early to draft DeMarvin Leal, and again, no Tomlin Colbert at that A&M workout. But just other names that kind of fit. I think Leal's a good name to mention. He'll probably be a top 40, 45 player. $5 super chat from Carmichael, the sports guru. Just because Alex is my guy. What's up, Dave? Thank you, Carmichael. Appreciate the super chat. No question there that I can see, but thank you so much for the generosity. Scroll back up here to the questions. This is from our buddy Jason Bodine. I think it's Bodine. I always forget. I should know this. Hello, Dallas. Now that Charlton is filling his taco with crawfish, do you think there's a higher likelihood the Steelers will prioritize edge rusher in the draft to pair with Avery, say third, fourth round? I think that was going to happen regardless of what Taco was doing, if he was coming back or still a free agent or what. But yeah, I think edge rusher is certainly a position you look at. Avery, we assume he's going to play there, but you'd still like to find some more talent at that very important edge position.
Yeah, weren't we about in the same place at the same time last year?
Yeah.
When it comes to the outside linebacker edge position there. Look, I mean, I like Avery, but all along coming out of Memphis there, I've always liked Avery's off the ball tape a lot better than I did him as an edge rusher. And our own Josh Carney did a breakdown on Avery since the Steelers signed him and all. And to me, there's just not a lot there as a pass rushing guy. So I mean, if you got in a situation, and obviously the Steelers got in a situation last year more than just a couple of times with groin injuries and all like that, with Alex Highsmith and Watt. Look, it's way too much to expect those guys to play 85% or more of the snaps, on top of it. You need to be able to give those guys some breathers. And, Avery, I think, can function in some capacity on that. But, man, you sure would like to have another guy, especially one that give you more as a pass rusher, as far as an edge. Now, that list is also dwindling at this point when it comes to, free agents and all like that. So, way it looks like right now, this team absolutely is going to have to address that position at some point during the draft. Maybe a guy like my guy out of Western Kentucky, D'Angelo Malone.
Hmm.
Brandon Hunt was obviously at that Western Kentucky Pro Day. Boye Mafe, exciting prospect out of Minnesota. A couple of small school kids in addition to that as well too. So I think regardless of what this team does at the outside linebacker position in the next, let's say ahead of the draft, they're still going to have to address that position in the draft, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Now they were in a probably worse spot last year and didn't take an edge rusher till the sixth round with Quincy Roche. So maybe they end up waiting. But I think it's such an important position, the engine that Tomlin calls it, and it's true that you want to make sure that's as beefy as possible. Coming off a year in which Watt missed a decent amount of time and played hurt a lot, and even Alex Highsmith had injury issues early on in the season. So a position you don't want to be weak depth wise at. Bernard Johnson, do you think the Lions taking a swing on Malik is more likely than many think? If they don't, how likely do you see us trading the top five? It's possible on Detroit. I'll say that about most situations. I don't want to discount it. It seems less. It seems less than 50%, but I don't want to say it's 0%. Yeah, if that doesn't happen, will Pittsburgh move into the top five, or what are the odds? Again, it's possible. I don't know what percentage to put on it, but I think Pittsburgh will explore trading up for a quarterback if Malik Willis begins to slip a little bit. Uninspired, I just read we are close to a deal with Minka. Again, that comes from NFL Network. Dave, you always have the best feel and read on these type of contract situations. What's your take on that report?
I mean, I'm not gonna. I can't discount Aditi's report when it comes to that, but I will say this. How many times? It's not often that you see the Steelers get a super lucrative deal done, an extension done with a player from April 1st until the time the team reports to training camp. I think you had Ben Roethlisberger a couple years ago. I think 2019, towards the end of April, signed his 2-year extension there. But I mean, even with franchise tag players, what and if they're not named Ben Roethlisberger specifically, a player not named Ben Roethlisberger, normally those extensions roll on into the summer and really into training camp there. So unless the both sides have already, it's going to be an easy contract to lay out, especially if you're going to make Minka Fitzpatrick the highest paid safety in the league, right? Because
Hmm.
Jamal Adams is, I think, at 17.5 million right now. You would think that means that if you're going to make Minka the highest paid safety, that Minka's going to come in anywhere between 17.6 million new money average and $18 million new money average, right around in that area. With what we saw happen last year with T.J. Watt and the guaranteed money aspect, you would think that's pretty much kind of written in stone now as well. So maybe it will come together quicker, this year. But uh, very, very close to hear Aditi say that deal is very, very close to getting done. That kind of surprised me because it just doesn't fit
Yeah.
the mo of what the Steelers timeline generally is. Now, here's the other thing to think about when you have when it comes to Minka. If you get to training camp time and you don't have him signed to an extension, you would think he's going to follow the same path as TJ Watt did last year, right? Have some sort of hold in, if you will, where he doesn't really practice and it doesn't play in the preseason games. And, obviously you don't want that to roll on through most of the summer there. So all I can say is, her report is her report at this point. I think they obviously will get a deal done with Minka at some point between now and week 1 of the regular season. Just as we stand right now, though, color me surprised if it gets done, especially this early in the offseason, because there's just really no history of the Steelers getting those lucrative extensions done at this time of the offseason.
Right. For whatever it's worth, I went back look at some of the comments we're putting on TJ Watt, and some of those similar comments were made not in April, but in terms of them being very, very close and the deal still not happening for a little bit. So I take it with a grain of salt. We'll see. I think it will get done, just a matter of when, but I think it will get done, and that's ultimately the most important thing. By the way,
Right.
also have up on screen right now. This is from Aditi herself about all the pre-draft visits that are scheduled with Pittsburgh later this month with Desmond Ritter, Sam Howell, Those are happening this week. Carson Strong, Matt Corral next week. Malik Willis, I think someone said April 20th. And then Kenny Pickett's already met with a team. So I was wrong. I said on the podcast today I didn't think they were going to bring in the top quarterbacks, but they're all coming in apparently, Dave.
All right. The old man still has it.
Still got the fastball. Mutated Genome says $2 super chat. Thank you so much. Jameer Jones is available. Resign. I mean he did okay on special teams. It's kind of what got him the hat, but not going to offer anything as a pass rusher. So I'll look elsewhere. But I think he is available. Let's see. Going back up here. Let's see. Mike says, "What are your thoughts on Christian Wade as a veteran linebacker or running back? Sorry. Christian Wade as a running back? I'm not familiar with the name. Are you, Dave?
No, I'm not.
Christian Wade. Mike, if you could maybe expand on that. You talking rookie? I don't remember any running back in the NFL named Christian Wade. So maybe I'm just blanking on somebody. That's certainly possible.
Here's the Bills waived a Christian Wade, a former American football player, former rugby union player. He
Hmm.
spent 2 seasons on the practice squad as a running back for the Buffalo Bills. He's already, I think, according to this, he's 30 years old already too.
Is he
He
part of like
must
the
have been one of
international
their
program pathway guys?
yeah, probably one of their international program or whatnot. So I mean, I don't even think he's not played in an NFL game. I don't think. No,
I don't
he's
believe
been on
so.
their practice. He's been on their practice squad since 2019. So yeah, probably not going to be an option. I mean, if you did bring him in, it'd be on a rookie 1 year contract with no signing bonus, so you could cut him. But the fact that the Bills are parting ways with him at this point right now, that probably speaks volumes.
Yeah, I think so. By the way, Terry Bradford finally got to be here for a live stream. Thanks for being here, Terry. Certainly appreciate everybody here. If you guys could like the stream, Dave and I would appreciate that as well. Yeah, Christian Wade, probably not the answer there, Mike. Mike Gadesso, hey guys, if quarterback's gone to 20, what positions can we rule out at pick 20? What do you rule out, Dave? Running back, tight end, anything else?
Yeah, running back, tight end. Geez.
Specialists, obviously.
I mean, it doesn't look like they've. I mean, I guess you can't rule out offensive line.
No.
Is there going to be a do they really want some of that Tyler Lindenbaum? I would probably rule out center, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Overall, I think there would be a better chance at guard. I don't know what inside linebacker. With Miles Jack and Devin Bush, with Devin Bush in the last year, probably not going to get his fifth-year option. So I guess technically you can't rule out inside or outside linebacker on technicalities. I don't think you can rule out any position on the defensive line, either defensive tackle or defensive end, especially with status of contract status of Wormley and how much time's left on his deal, and obviously with Stephon Tuitt. Cornerback and safety obviously would probably be in play. So probably running back and tight end, I would think, would be two positions that you'd probably rule out, and
Yeah.
and maybe center.
Center, I think that's fair. D line, I still really can't. I have a hard time seeing D line in the first round. Just trying to find the names and the reason. Not gonna rule it out, but I think the odds are really really low on that. But yeah, I think running back, tight end, the only ones I can confidently rule out in the first round. Let's see. Next question comes from Patrick Bateman. Is bringing back Emmanuel Sanders fill the need for a veteran receiver in the room? He would fill it. Question is Pittsburgh want him back? I mean, he's how old's Emmanuel? 33,
Like
35?
34 or 33 or something like that
Yeah.
now, isn't he?
I
He was
know.
on Good Morning Football, I think, this morning.
Okay, I know Pittsburgh's done some reunions with older players, Bryant McFadden and others, but
He's 35 now.
and when's he going to turn 36?
He just turned
He just
35
turned
on March
35.
17th.
Okay, well, happy birthday, Emmanuel. I'm not gonna say no. You're pretty desperate looking for that veteran guy, potential slot guy. Obviously, he had a beef with Ben, and Ben's now gone. I think we had this conversation a bit on the podcast 2, 3 weeks ago. So he would be a veteran presence. I mean, to answer that question directly, yes, Patrick, I think he would.
And obviously worked, was around Mitchell Trubisky last year in Buffalo.
Yeah, that's a
So
good point.
there is that connection. It's just man, what's he looking for money wise, and at his age, you know what I'm saying? I don't think you can completely rule it out, but I would be a bit surprised if it happened at his age now.
Yeah. Alex, the Steelers have two outside corners in Sutton who can play both. Do you think they target an outside corner or slot in the draft? Really could go either way. Can't have too much good cornerback depth. There's arguments for both positions. Slots a little less undefined right now, a little more undefined, I should say, in terms of who that guy's going to be. Outside corner, happy to get back Witherspoon, but you would love to get. I would love this team to take a chance on a really athletic, traitsy cover corner that can really hopefully have a lot of upside there to match up against some of these top receivers. I think that's what this team needs right now. Let's see.
Yeah, and I mean,
Go ahead.
are they destined to get one this year in the draft at some point? It feels like it. At least one corner is probably coming in the draft. The question is that going to be, kind of a long kind of boundary, corner, or guy that can play inside?
Right. Yeah, that's the question that's being asked, and I think it really could go either way. Depends on the board. Depends on how things shake out. It's all on the table right now. But I think having Wallace and Witherspoon back gives yourself some better depth. I would certainly be looking to play Sutton inside more. You got Trey Norwood who's going to play in the slot some as well. You have some options there, so there is no I think immediate pressing urgent need to do something there. Steel Pastor, don't have the first part of this question, but is asking for 20 plus per year. Do you think wait till next year and tag him or trade him now while wide receiver money is so crazy? I assume that's in reference to Deontay Johnson. Basically asking, what do you do with Deontay Johnson? Extension, tag, trade? What's your course of action, Dave?
Well, here's the thing with him is, once again, people, I think, are some of them are finally coming down to the realization that you're not going to be able to re-sign this guy for like 15 or 16 million, like some people think. I mean, you look at what the market has done this off season and all, and uh, you know, I think you get him at a deal if you got him anything under 20 million per season at this point. It's hard for me to envision the way the Steelers have done wide receivers in the past and all. It really is kind of hard for me to envision them signing him to an extension this offseason. And if they do, once again, I expect that number to be, north of at least 18.5 million, I would think. And probably closer to 20 million. Uh, you have the ability to do it from a cash and cap standpoint. The only question is, will they?
Hmm.
And once again, the Steelers just don't have a long history of paying wide receivers near top of the market money like that. So if they didn't, then you obviously, he's not going to be too thrilled about it, and obviously we'll be looking towards next season. Then you can obviously place the tag on him, but then you still would go into next year's training camp wondering if you're going to be able to get a deal done with him.
Yeah.
So I mean, look, he is a phenomenal guy off the line, a really good X, good separation, good after the catch kind of guy there. Obviously the drops are an issue with him. And good X receivers with that kind of skill set also don't grow on trees, but uh, it's a tough call. I would I would tend to like to see them re-sign him, but once again, that number is not going to be south of 18.5
Yeah.
million, I don't think.
Yeah, not going to be cheap. I'll say this: I would not trade him now. I want to let him be a Steeler and be a part of this offense, and they're going to need all the receiver help they can in the post-Ben era. What happens from there, I'm not sure. Potentially tag, potentially extension, depending on what he wants and those kinds of things. So I would at least, worst case, let it ride out through the year. I would not trade Deontay, even if I knew I couldn't get a deal done right now, or even later this offseason.
I mean, he's not going to be too happy, I don't think, about going in and having to play for. He did hit the proven performance escalator, so he got a little bit of a raise that way this offseason and all. But I'm going to imagine he's not going to be too happy about not getting a deal this offseason, if indeed that's what winds up happening.
Yeah.
He's set to earn 2.79 million this season, just a slight raise off of the proven performance escalator.
He's probably still mad about missing out on that Pro Bowl and that $1 million, but would like to
Yeah,
get a
yeah.
lot more than that. Yeah, I think he's gonna be mad about it. If you're like, well, we can't get a deal done, so you better play well this year so you can cash in, or we are forced to tag you and you get a lot of money, that way potentially. So, I mean, would you consider trading him?
All depends on the deal. I brought it up, I think, not too long ago about just kind of throwing it out there as a hypothetical about, the only way I could see something like that happening with him in a trade would be part of some sort of move up,
Right.
in the draft. That's the only way I could see something like that happening. And I'm looking at the wide receiver list right now. Uh, that I think that's been updated here with some of these new deals and all like that. And even if you gave him 18.5 million per year right now, that still wouldn't put him in the top 10. It would
Mm,
have him obviously in the top 15. And I mean, he's looking at a deal like 18 million. Christian Kirk average new money average at 18 million for Christian Kirk, and Kenny Galladay at 18 million. I can guarantee you him and his agent are saying there's no way we're taking less than that number
yeah.
there. So that's the number, and the question becomes, uh, how much more is he going to want for that? Is he going to want kind of top five money? Look, when you look at his stats and especially his catches, now obviously his yardage is down, but if you look back at that draft class and all. I think he leads, all receivers since his draft class in catches there. But obviously the yardage is a little bit down. Kind of that dink and dunk offense he's been a part of since he's been in the NFL. So if he didn't have the drops there, for sure, I think it'd be a lot easier, to make the decision on him. But personally, my gut, as far as what Steelers have done in the past here, my gut tells me that they're not going to extend him just based on history and probably his asking amount.
Yeah, and the market for receivers certainly went up this year with the Kirk deal, with the Devontae Adams deal, with the Tyreek Hill deal. The price just went up to pay for talented receivers. $5 super chat from Jared Nichols. If you were to rank the likelihood of positions drafted at pick 20, what would be your top positions? Likelihood of a trade up. A trade up's possible. It's hard to put a number on it, but I'll certainly put it well above zero. In terms of positions that will get drafted or could be drafted, quarterback number one. I think that's pretty obvious. From there, it becomes much more open ended. I'm not sure exactly where I would go. I would probably say quarterback one, wide receiver two, safety three. I'm going to assume there'll still be a safety sign before the draft here, and then maybe corner four, offensive line in some respect five. Any disagreements there, Dave?
Yeah,
Am
that
I very
sounds
loose
about
there?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, and then
yeah, I think you're on track there.
trade up for quarterback and quarterback only, but certainly possible. Quick sidebar, but meant to mention at the top of the show. Then we had the audio bugs to work out. I know you guys have been asking about it occasionally, and I just got confirmation today. I will be involved in the Walk the Mock live mock draft as we did last year. This is going to be set for April 24th. That's a Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern time. So I just got the invite back for that. I'll live stream it on my channel the way I did last year. It's a 4 round mock with trade, so we'll all go through it together, and you guys can be my assistant GMs, and we'll see who we pick. So walk the mock draft April 24th, 8 p.m. So put that on your calendars. All right.
One quick other note
Sure.
about Deontay real quick. Kind of really one of the kind of game changer deals that got done earlier in the offseason was that Mike Williams deal with the Chargers.
Good point.
With the
20?
new
You got
money.
20 for him?
Yeah, right at $20 million new money average on that. So once that deal came across there and got inked, I mean that uh, you know that at that moment it's hard to imagine. And then obviously since then you've had Christian Kirk in at 18. I mean, I think the starting point with Deontay might even be like 20 million,
Mm.
20.5 million, something around in there. So that's yet another reason to think maybe that a deal doesn't get done with Deontay later this offseason.
Yeah, it's a fair point. Cap question here from our buddy Saloon from Brazil. Good evening, guys. How do the incentives to be earned work in terms of salary cap? Does it count this year or next year? I know there's a difference today between likely to be earned and not likely to be earned. Can you kind of give just a real quick layman's breakdown of how those incentives work cap wise?
Yeah, look, likely to be earned means they're likely to be earned, and within that, whatever that values out at counts against the cap in that given year. So let's say player gets a per game uh, uh, roster bonus of 100,000 for every game that he dresses and plays with, and the previous and up to, let's say, $1 million in that. All right, and let's with that $100,000 per game roster bonus, you look at the previous season. Let's say he played in dressed and played in 5 games. Okay, well then that's considered likely to be earned of a 5 game roster bonus in there. So that'd be a $500,000 incentive that counts against the cap in the present year because it's likely to be earned. Now, the rest of it would be considered not likely to be earned in that. And if the player was to reach any of those not likely to be earned incentives, then whatever that amount is that he qualifies for in a given season then gets hit on your cap the following year as an off-season debit that usually hits around late February, early March. Right around there is usually when the credits and debits are handed out in there. So the key terms always to look for in these deals, and you don't really have to worry about it with the Steelers for the most part. Now they did obviously with Mitch Trubisky. He's got a lot of not likely to be earned incentives in his contract this year, but generally for non-quarterbacks, the Steelers really don't like using either likely or not likely to be earned incentives in their contracts there. They don't go actively looking for that. Now, they have traded for players in the past. Vance McDonald was one of them. Joe Schobert, had some per game roster bonuses type stuff that was, likely to be earned, not likely to be earned. But that's the only usual way that the Steelers, kind of acquire those kind of deals because they don't actively go out signing players to those kind of deals outside of per se maybe a quarterback, and we saw that just a couple of weeks ago with the Mitch Trubisky deal.
Yeah, good outline there. That's why you're the cap guy, Dave. Thank you for the explanation. Hopefully that helps Saloon. Go through these questions a little bit quicker here. Trevor Davis, will the Steelers sign a veteran receiver before the draft? Thanks, guys. Dave, your thoughts. Will Pittsburgh sign a veteran receiver prior to the draft?
Man, my gut tells me they will. I don't know who that player is, but it feels like it's something that they need to do to me. So who that player is, I don't know. It feels like it's something that they should do.
I agree. They should do it, but the longer we go, I'm starting to think they won't. So I'll go the other way and say they won't draft or they won't sign a veteran receiver. They will draft one instead and use that guy as their top guy. Mike Odessa.
Now, whoever they do sign, I wouldn't, it's probably going to be on a cheaper side of things. Obviously, probably a 2-year deal and something they can get out of after the first year. So, if they do sign somebody, it would be obviously on a cheaper end there.
Yeah, Mike Odessa, do you think the Saints getting one of the Eagles picks makes it more likely the Steelers will have to trade up for a quarterback? Not really, because both those teams are already sitting in front of Pittsburgh to begin with. Prior to this trade, there's been some speculation the Saints going to be more in the market for a left tackle to replace Teron Armstead. So I don't really think it changes the ball game in terms of what Pittsburgh has to do to potentially get a quarterback. What do you think, Dave?
I think the only thing that crossed my mind is now with their 2 picks, might they take both those and parlay them to move up even further into the first round to potentially get a quarterback? But they need a lot
Yeah.
on that team. Now, obviously, they do have a future quarterback issue as well too. But with the new head coach and all like that, is this really the kind of and all the kind of restructuring and the cap issues and all that? Is this really the year to go, especially with this draft class and use draft capital to trade up to get a future quarterback when you have so many other holes on that roster? I mean, nothing says that they can't, but I kind of side with you there. I think they need bodies more so, positional bodies, first round talent bodies more so than they do need per se move up to go get a certain quarterback.
Yeah, they
But who knows? We'll see.
right. They did at least sign Jameis to a pretty heavy contract, so we'll see. I think they're going to be in play for offensive line help. Patch 440. The Steelers don't get a quality strong safety signed before the draft or quality slot receiver. Do you think that changes the team's plans to a possible trade up for a first round quarterback? I get what you're saying. I'm still going to say no because the quarterback trumps all. If your quarterback you love, you're not going to weigh the well. We got to find a strong safety or find a slot guy. Like that's your quarterback. That is the bread and butter of your franchise. So I hear what you're saying, but I think ultimately it really wouldn't prevent them from trying to get a quarterback and
Yeah.
move up to get one.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think I think they got probably safety penciled in second or third round this year, depending on who falls and all like that.
Yeah, Jesse Hernandez. Let's say the Steelers trade up and draft Malik. How do you suppose the reps go during practice throughout the season? Do you see Malik getting any first or second team reps, or how would they do it? I mean, that's a far away question. He'll be third team, presumably. He won't get a lot of reps. It'll be a lot of mental reps, maybe during bye weeks and stuff like that. He could get more, but reps would be limited. I don't think he's going to get first team reps. Whoever the starter is, or at least assuming Trubisky's the starter, Trubisky's going to need all the reps possible in his first year in Pittsburgh. Uh,
Yeah, I think a lot of people forget back in 2004, the plan was initially for Ben Roethlisberger to be the number three quarterback. That was the plan. Obviously, injuries changed all that. So and look, if you drafted Malik specifically, he really needs to sit and learn and watch and everything that goes along with that. So barring injuries, I would expect him to be the number three quarterback with hopefully the goal being that maybe he could pass whoever the number two is by the end of the season. At least give you, I think that would be the expectation. Maybe at least when it comes to that, and maybe later on in the season you do something where if he's an active, if he's your backup quarterback and he's active, maybe you have some sort of package, small offensive package, whether it be red zone or whatever, to at least get him on the field and get three snaps a game or something like that.
Yeah, well said. Have an answer to a question Dave and I mused about earlier in the podcast. So big shout out to Kevin in Albuquerque. Hi, Alex and Dave. To your question on today's pod about drafted FCS running backs, the last two were under Chuck Knoll, Gordy Lockbaum in '88 from Holy Cross, and Merrill Hodge from Idaho State in
Wow,
'87. So good answer
been
there.
that long.
Merrill Hodge, a lot better than Gordy. Sorry, Gordy, don't know your story, but thank you, Kevin. Dakota Smith, true or false? The Steelers will not be able to trade up for a quarterback because of the Saints' ability to top their offer. I'll say false on that.
Because of the Saints.
Yeah, the Saints' ability to trade up, the Saints' ability to top their offer will prevent Pittsburgh from trading up for a quarterback. I'm saying that is
No,
false.
yeah, I will say false because as we just said, it feels like, I mean, anything can happen, obviously, but it feels like they just need some first round talent in there, and aren't necessarily concerned about the quarterback so much, especially in this draft. I mean, if it was a better draft class, maybe you could potentially see them doing that. But new head coach, and it feels like they're more likely to stand
Mhm.
pat with their two first round picks now.
Kevin, the Elder God, with a lingering fifth year option for Devin Bush, would it be a huge shock if the Steelers take a linebacker between rounds 3 through 5? No, it wouldn't be a huge shock. It's gonna get a little messy and a little like, what's the role of that guy? But I would not be like floored by it at all. Yeah.
No, I wouldn't be floored by it either. But what does it say about what you did last year with Buddy Johnson? But you can't let one bad pick. You can't stay married to one bad pick just because it was a bad pick. Overall. So I think everybody agrees that it'll be a surprise if they pick up the fifth year option on Devin Bush in these next couple of weeks here. So assuming that winds up coming to fruition, you obviously have Miles Jack in there. You got Devin Bush that you would hope gives you some better play this year. But what really is behind them right now, and who knows what they're going to use Avery as? I mean, we think that they're going to use him as an edge, but yeah, it wouldn't shock me. I wouldn't be stunned if they ended up spending a mid round pick on an inside linebacker. I don't think they will, but I wouldn't be shocked by it just the same.
Yeah. Game review, Alex. What do you think of Kyer Elam from Florida? Check out Jonathan's report. Jonathan has a good feel for the Florida guys. He's worked for the program before, so he has better thoughts than I do. But yeah, I like Elam and has good bloodlines and a good athlete. So I'm not opposed to Kyer Elam, but again, Pittsburgh not being there in terms of Tom and Cooper for the Florida Pro Day kind of reduces those odds.
Mm.
Mike Odessa of Edmonds is re-signed. Could the Steelers still take a strong safety rounds 1 through 3? Sure, I think that's totally possible.
Mhm.
Edmonds won't break the bank. 007, what do you make out of the visit to South Dakota State quarterback Chris Oladuncan, another Canadian? Is he Canadian? I don't think he's Canadian. He's from Tampa. We looked this up, didn't we? I don't think he's Canadian, but it was an interesting name. Didn't expect it, but maybe a potential undrafted guy if this team does not get a quarterback at the top of the class.
Yeah, and I would hope that you wouldn't spend a 7th round, draft pick I really have a feeling that kid's going to go undrafted, but it's definitely a name to keep in mind if they don't wind up drafting a quarterback early there because of kind of his skill set and everything that goes along with that. But I mean, not invited to the combine. I think what was he NFLPA Bowl kid?
Hmm.
So at least that's got him, I think, on some people's radar, probably as a maybe a 7th round guy. But his tape's okay. I could probably find different ways of maybe spending a 7th round draft pick, I think.
Yeah, I'm with you. Would not draft a quarterback in the 7th round. Basically, past round 2, I'm not drafting a quarterback. I'm saying the success rate is even lower than it is, and it's already pretty low to begin with. George Teston. So Alex, you trust Tuitt and Alualu's 36. I just trust that you're gonna if Tuitt comes back, you're gonna have 6 guys. And you have Adams and Loudermilk's gonna be better, and Wormley's there is really quality depth. So I'm not saying you can't add a defensive lineman, but I'm not sure I'm adding one in the first round. No, I'm not gonna do that.
Right.
David Muse not happy with Malik Willis. I Google if Willis threw for 300 yards during his career. He had not one game where he threw for 300 yards. That's not talent, especially playing at Liberty. So David Muse didn't throw for 300 yards. So
He-
Malik Willis off the board.
Okay, stat scouting.
Had he done it, he's on the board. Didn't do it. There were games I'm sure he had 300 total yards of offense running the football, but that's your opinion and you're entitled to it, David. Steel Pastor McKinnon or Durr Williams is number 2 running back. McKinnon is older but solid and good in pass pro. Yeah, I'd be open to either. Would they be open to coming to Pittsburgh and not play a lot? It's kind of the question I've had with any veteran free agent running back. McKinnon's got speed. Williams has done well with what KC, so I'd be cool with that. I think you want to upgrade the backup running back position in terms of a runner. Give me Harris, give me a number 2 runner, and give me Snell as a number 3 special teamer. You do that, I'm happy with that depth chart.
Okay, real quick here, Malik Willis, 305 yards against Army.
Oh,
In 24 of 46 for 305 yards against Army last year. Looks like he 19 of 27 for 307 yards and 4 touchdowns against UMass. Last season, 2020, he had 306 yards passing on just 14 completions against who is this? Western Carolina. That was in the shortened 2000 and let's see. He also had against USM 345 yards on 24 completions in 2020. So he's had a handful of 300. What's that? 4
4.
yard games, I think.
That's more than 0. Dave Bryan with a mic drop.
I
David,
mean, I
check the
I mean,
Google.
I just looking at the stats here,
Yeah.
so
All
I
right.
don't scout. I don't really scout that way, but
Right.
there you go.
But he definitely had more than one game where he threw for 300 yards, David. So maybe he's back on your board. I'm not sure. Let's see here. Mark Tobin just talking about, I think, a Minka deal. Let's see any other questions as we begin to wind down today. Not a question, but a comment, a statement. Dirk Ritzert says trade to it for a first or second. Don't think you're getting that kind of capital. Definitely not a first round pick for Stephon Tuitt. Dirk also wants Deontay traded for a first, maybe a second. So Dirk wants all the draft picks.
Okay.
Let's see. Mike Han outside of Young and Stroud, who are the quarterbacks in next year's draft that make it so much better than this one. I'll have to go
I
through the
couldn't tell
names.
you.
Yeah, it's Bryce Young, CJ Stroud. There's a couple other names. There's how do you say his last name? Phil Jerkevic from Boston College, a local Western PA native. Had injuries last year at BC, so there are some names, but it's Young, it's Stroud. I think it's a third guy that are projected to be at the top. Jared Nichols, another $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Jared, for the second super chat. You guys are the best. Appreciate that, Jared. If you guys had to pick one quarterback that is most likely to be drafted by the Steelers in round one, who would that be? That is the not just $5 question, but the $1 million question, Jared. I think Malik Willis is going to be their top quarterback on their board, but will they get him is an entirely different question. Where do you come in, Dave?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to predict if they get the guy they want. I would tend to think, and it's been that way all off season for me. I would tend to think that Malik Willis is the apple of their eye, but within that, we've talked quite a few times that on the podcast the last couple of weeks. Is a guy like Sam Howell, Kevin Colbert's guy.
Yeah.
You go back and you remember some of the Twitter reports over the last couple seasons that Kevin Colbert, when he's been spotted, I think North Carolina was like 2 or 3 times, wasn't it? In the press box to see that game there, and it would just feel like, and it's just speculation that maybe Malik Willis is Mike Tomlin's guy, and uh, maybe Sam Howell. But let me tell you, they both had that like they got caught hand in the cookie jar when they were watching that final off-platform throw by Malik Willis at that Liberty Pro Day a couple weeks
Yep.
ago. They looked highly entertained when it came to that. Now, whether it's next to impossible to give a guarantee you pick it 20th overall. Will a trade go through, and do they like him that much to trade? I mean, I wouldn't make any hard, firm, high dollar bets on whether or not they got him, but I would tend to think that maybe that's at least the apple of their eye.
I think so too, but if not him, who's next in line potentially? And I had the podcast today. I think it's either Corral or Howe. I think it's any of those guys are potentially, could be Steelers. They all check the boxes, and even Kenny Pickett, of course, and Desmond Ritter from Cincinnati. I've been leaning towards Howell or Corral. I'm not sure who I think would be the next most likely. So I'll have a maybe better answer closer to the draft, Jared. Next question comes from let's see if we can find one. John Pennington, our friend John Pennington, Dave and Alex with the Eagles and Saints trade. Everyone loves this trade and wants to talk about it. Puts the Saints in good position for more trade capital from a team willing to move up. Now, can the Steelers deal with the Saints? I don't think New Orleans wants to deal with Pittsburgh. I'm not entirely sure what the Saints are exactly trying to accomplish here with this trade, but I don't think a deal is going to happen between Pittsburgh and New Orleans.
Right.
Let's see here. Mike's still asking about my number one draft crush, Petre. Yeah, I probably won't have another one I develop. I got a report on a guy tomorrow. Actually, Scott Pavel kind of turned me on to this guy, Xander Horvath from Purdue, like a Mike Allstott dude. Allstott wore 40, went to Purdue. Horvath wears number 40, went to Purdue, and the guy's name is Alex. So I kind of like this guy, but I don't think he's a draft crush. But interesting report on Horvath, who had a great. He had a 10 RAS score for a fullback, so really interesting
Wow.
kind of story there. Yeah, and Mike says, "Is Devin Tompkins still your draft crush?" I assume that is yes, Dave.
Oh yeah, yeah. Look, I mean, just this film alone, the fact that I normally have bias against these undersized, these wide receivers. And look, here's another thing that I posted on Twitter. I don't think we forgot to talk about this the other day, Alex, or the last couple of shows here. Only two wide receivers officially under 5'10". Uh, Kevin Colbert has only drafted two wide receivers officially under 5'10" during his time with the Steelers. One of those was Antoine Randall L way back, and technically, I mean, he was really a quarterback coming out of Indiana, right?
Hmm.
With him, and the other one was obviously oh, what was the other name I had on the list there from a few years ago, the wide receiver, late round. Uh,
Not Archer or Rainey. You're not talking about those guys, right?
no, 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 no. I'm drawing a
I
blank
saw
all
your
of a
tweet. I
sudden.
can't remember who the other guy was.
I don't
Oh,
think of it here in a
Demarcus
minute.
Ayers. Demarcus Ayers.
Yeah, DeMarcus Ayers. Yeah, that was the other one under 5'10".
Yeah.
Now they were close. One was 5'9" and 3/8, and the other one, I think it was Randall Well. It was 5'9" and 5/8.
No, you said Randall L was
There.
5'8", right? Or under 5'5". Oh wait,
No,
no.
under 5'10"
Okay,
is the number.
I see. And Randall L was five
Under five.
nine.
All right. So I mean, you look at guys like Wendell Robinson out of Kentucky and Sky Moore. Both those guys are under 5'10".
Yeah, Sky Moore 5'9". So yeah, that's a good point. Pittsburgh likes the receivers to have a little bit of size, so I think it's a fair lens into this potential receiver class. We got to do a report on Devin Tompkins. I don't think anyone's done a player profile on him. Somebody's got to step up and do it. So maybe I will here at some point.
Somebody's going to draft that guy in the third or fourth round. I wouldn't think twice about spending a third or fourth round pick on him. Obviously, the body size, and you worry about him taking hits and that kind of stuff. But I mean, he took some wallops there at Utah State, and man, a guy his size, he plays like he's 6'4". I mean, just cut up after cut up on him, making plays, and I don't understand why he didn't at least get a combine invite.
Yeah, I'm with you for sure. A couple more questions. We'll do a couple more because I had to deal with the technical stuff. My computer, I think, is like dying. I've had it for many years, and I feel like it's time for a new one. So apologize for all that. Eddie Longs, if the Steelers trade out down, how many picks do we get for number 20, and who do we select if that happens? Depends on how far they're trading down, all those things. If Pittsburgh goes down, which I find very unlikely, if they go down, it'll only be a couple of spots, like 2, 3 spots. So you wouldn't get a ton back, and I don't know who they would draft in that scenario, Eddie.
Yeah, I kind of find it highly unlikely that they would go down, but
If they go down, I
stranger
assume they're
things
not.
happen.
If they go down, I assume it's not going to be
They're
for a
not going to go out
quarterback.
of the first.
Yeah, they won't go out at
Right.
first. I think they'll be drafting a defensive player, maybe a receiver, but I mean that's a lot of hypotheticals there. Would they move up for Pickett? That's. I mean, I guess they could. I'm not going to say no, but I think they're more apt to move up for Willis than Pickett. Which Johnson, Megatron, or Andre from Ross Swisher? Oh, Megatron. Who's picking Andre Johnson over
Mm,
Calvin Johnson? I mean, that's a
mhm.
no-brainer. Would they take Pickett at 20? That's from Tim. Yeah, I think they would take Pickett at 20. That's certainly possible as well. My phrase of the day. What's more likely, Steelers drafting a receiver with crap speed or a big slot for Mike? That's a tough one. I think they need speed, but they kind of need both. Maybe they should double dip, like you said, Dave.
Nothing would please me more. The thing is, they have enough picks to do it with. Nothing would please me more to see a real kind of sparky slot player and somebody that can stretch the field vertically. And you know me, I've been on that speed since going back to last season. You know, they need somebody that can take the top off of the defense and somebody that they can, get a few big plays on, one of those long striders, if you will, like that. Now, will they? We'll see. It wouldn't hurt my feelings though to see them go to. Do I think they will? It doesn't feel like it right now, but they also didn't take a wide receiver in last year's draft, and what one of the times after they didn't take a wide receiver, didn't wasn't the following year 2010 when they did take two in Sanders and Antonio Brown.
I can't remember if they did that the year before, or was it the year after they didn't take one because they just
Yeah, I don't
drafted
remember.
Sanders and AB and the young money crew they had there with Mike Wallace. I want to say it came the year after, but I could be wrong about that. To answer the question from Mike, I'll say the Dave Bryan yes to that because I really think it could go either way, and both are needs on this team. Ross Swisher about the defensive line and wanting to add somebody that's totally fine. Says Carlos Davis has been injury prone. I don't think I'd call him injury prone. Had a knee issue that kind of lingered last year. I don't think that makes you injury prone. Just you battled one nagging knee injury there. Quality Colos.
Yeah, they drafted Mike Wallace in 2009. That's right. And then turned around in 2010 and drafted Sanders and Antonio Brown. And then the year after that,
Okay.
2011, was one of the rare times where Kevin Colbert, where the Steelers did not draft a wide receiver at all.
Okay, that's what I thought it was there. Quality Colos. I trust the floor's evaluation of DBs working with Byron Jones, Xavier Howard, Javon Holland last year from Oregon. Miami scheme was so amazing, confusing, tough defense. Yeah, good points there. And Flores has been on the trail with Pittsburgh this year at Georgia, Clemson, and Penn State that we know of. Saloon, do you think the guy? Do you guys think that next season's running back number 2 is on the roster right now? I hope not. I think they need to add. The group is not looking strong right now. Got more real quick here. Mr. Jimmy Dean in all caps here on the first part. Alex and Dave, how do you feel about the Steelers dropping down to the second round to get more picks? Also says thanks for the live stream. And please to like the
I'll
stream as
I'll be
well.
surprised if they move down and out of the first round. It just that kind of stuff just doesn't fit the Steelers' mo really.
Yep, Colbert only traded down once in the first round his entire tenure in '01 to go from 16 to 19. Now, how do I feel about trading out of the second round, probably not great. That's at least 13 spots you're going down, lose the fifth year option, getting lesser talent. Probably not my favorite thing to do. I like trading down in general, but that's a bridge too far for me, Jimmy Dean. I hear rumblings about trading DJ or Claypool. Is that true? I know Dave had the hypothetical, kind of just like the just stream of consciousness thing, but is that rumblings? I don't know how you where you're hearing that from MW.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I think people confuse a lot of things sometimes with maybe somebody speculating as it being rumblings. I mean, outside of who was it, Fowler, about what 6 weeks
Yeah,
ago, and he even admitted in a radio interview that's just more like educated. I think he called it educated speculation or something along those lines. There's really no sign that any of these guys will be traded. And look, they just lost three wide receivers to unrestricted free agency. Not that huge losses. You say what you will about Juju overall. That was obviously the biggest of the three to lose. Uh, would they really deal away another one? I mean, it's not impossible, as I like to say. I would think if they did deal one, though, I mean, you can make arguments for it being either one. Claypool has the longest time left on his contract there, so team that maybe thought they could fix him or turn him around, that could be maybe a selling point on that. And the thing with Deontay, the argument behind doing that would be, look, we can't sign this guy. He's probably going to be gone after this next season anyway. Let's go ahead and see what we can get for him now. But either way, if indeed, and I wouldn't call it rumblings, no, but if indeed the Steelers were to deal one of those two guys, once again, I think it would be part of some sort of draft day move up type package. That's really the only way I could fathom that. So I would put the chances of one of those guys being traded at, I don't know, 2%. I don't know.
yeah, I think it's pretty low there. Let's see. MW Marquise Bell, the safety from FAMU. Have y'all heard much about him? Buzz going, yeah, interesting guy. Pittsburgh had his pro day. I think that was our buddy Rick Repreach, I want to say, was there at FAMU. Kind of a day three guy. Bell is decent size, decent athleticism. Don't know a ton about him, but small school sleeper for sure that you want to keep in mind. Will we sign Matthew? I don't know. We'll see. Mike, UNC or Kansas tonight? Dave, who you taking? UNC or Kansas? I'm going Tar Heels.
Just on my limited knowledge of it and watching just these last couple of games, it feels like Kansas is going to dismantle whoever got into that game, whether it been Duke or North Carolina. Obviously, it's North Carolina. And I know nothing about college basketball but just from the little bit that I've seen the last couple of nights in the Kansas game the other night, what they did to Villanova. To me, it feels like it's Kansas, and they're going to probably handle it pretty easily.
Yeah, Kansas has really gotten no love. I'm going to go Tar Heels just because I'm on the bandwagon. I do have a super chat I missed here. I apologize for that. LV for $1. Thank you so much. Had two questions here. I'll read kind of I think it's the same one, though. The Steelers being so bad at drafting cornerback, who is the best first round cornerback fit for the Steelers or your favorite? And who is a stretch? Same with safety. In terms of first round corners that fit, you got Andrew Booth from Clemson. And that's really like the guy that fits the best. Daxton Hill's kind of a safety corner potential hybrid. There is Elam from Florida. We talked about a little bit ago, but like if you want to talk about corner in the first round, checking those boxes, to me it's Andrew Booth. And then at safety, it's Lewis Sign. I think Daxton Hill needs more love for me. Need to talk about think about him some more. And those are probably the top two safeties.
Yeah, I haven't given the corner position that much thought overall, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Ross Swisher about Brian Flores being just the linebacker assistant coach. Tomlin said he'll have a lot of different roles, a lot of different hats. So I think his influence in terms of just evaluation and draft type of stuff, preparation, transcends just the title of the linebackers coach. Let's see, two more questions. John Pennington, who's the next GM? How will they survive any move this team if they lose draft capital for 2 years? They'll survive it, and the next GM, we'll see. I'm still going Brandon Hunt. What about you,
Mhm.
Brandon Hunt?
Mhm.
All right. Is there another
Yep.
question or no? I think that's actually probably all the questions. So I think we got to basically all of them here. Appreciate you guys' time hanging out with us. Will be an archive version of this on Steelers Depot in just a little bit. And as always, Dave, thank you for your time.
My pleasure, and thank you everybody for showing up tonight. Peace and love, and be careful and be safe.
Be sure to subscribe to the channel. We'll have a live stream in another 2 weeks and other videos and content along the way. So appreciate you guys hanging out with us, and we'll talk to you soon.